Welcome back to the Community Christian. We're going to do a video today trying to discuss why you should go to church. It's come to my attention that we have several members on this group that do not attend church or don't attend church regularly. And that's an issue, a problem that we kind of want to address. That way we can use these videos to give you guys some instruction and maybe a little bit of insight into God's Word and maybe some reasons you haven't thought about as far as why you should or should not attend church. As a Christian, we're called to do a lot of service. We're called to be with other Christians. We're called to service other non-Christians. But one of the main things that we should do as a Christian is to serve others. Being part of a church is one of the best outlets to be able to do that, to be able to go out and service other people. I've got a couple of people here with me today that have provided some service to me throughout my life. I want to introduce them briefly to you. Starting over here on the far left, this is Robert Reed. I've worked for Robert for almost 10 years, probably, off and on. We've been lifelong family friends. Robert's one of those that has always been there. We've had many solid moment, many emotional moment. He's one of those people that I would consider a mentor. This is Steve Sheffield. I've known Steve since I was probably 15, 16 maybe. Long time anyway. Steve hasn't been there quite as long as Robert, but through Robert, I was able to meet Steve. We still work together to this day. And Steve is also one of the people that I'm pretty positive I could call at a moment's notice that would come. In fact, he did a couple hunting seasons ago come and pull me out of the woods. He even did it for free. This is Mark Enoch. I've known Mark for about 6 or 7 years probably. If you are lucky enough to get into a church family and find a Mark Enoch, then you'll end up with, like I have, with 3 people that you can consider someone that's a mentor type person, or someone that would get your back no matter what, someone that would help you and that would continue to help you further your cause, or someone that you could bounce ideas off of. So one of the main things that I want to talk about with church is the fact that you get this kind of network out of it. If you're not attending church, you won't get the opportunity to meet people, because again, I start off with lifelong friend, get to know another lifelong friend, and then got lucky enough by going to church to meet another lifelong friend. You hear everybody talking about having one best friend or having one good friend in your lifetime is a marvelous thing. What about if you have 3 or 4 or 20 people like that you could count on at any given time? The main purpose behind going to church is not just having that networking. It's not just having time to service others, but it's also to be able to provide a way to share each other's load and share each other's burden. This is Steve's son Blake over here. He's going to come and help me. He's going to be my unchurched member. If you guys give a shout to Blake. It's Blake Sheffield. He's going to be our unchurched guy. If you look right over here, this gigantically heavy rock is what we're going to call a burden. Now, burdens can be just about anything. We're going to take the poll here. Mr. Robert, what would you call a burden? What could a burden be?
A burden could be a lifelong illness.
A lifelong illness. Mr. Steve.
Something that's really heavy and getting you down.
Something's really heavy and getting you down. Mr. Steve's got jokes always. Mark?
Something you're really struggling with, something you have lots of questions about and you can't put the pieces together.
Okay. So my biggest thing, we talk about financial hardships. What about sin? What about a perpetual sin that you can't get over? The church is one of those places where you can get that support group, where you can continue to grow and learn from each other and have those people that you can call at any time to help you deal with that burden. So we're going to watch what happens right here when Mr. Unchurched Blake right here decides he wants to carry this burden here by himself. Go for it. All right. Just hold on to it. We'll see how long he wants to hang on to it. You see him? He's starting
Starting to shake.
He's starting to shake just a little
Getting heavy.
bit. And I say it won't be too long before Blake's not able to hold that burden by himself. He's able to pick it up, and he's able to move around a little bit. Think you could run with it for a while?
Not at all.
Not at all. All right, set it down. All right. Now we're going to show you what happens when the church comes in. Gentlemen, in comes the church to help Blake with his burden. Whatever Blake's burden is, let's see how difficult it is for the church to pick up this burden.
Put that all by yourself.
That is pretty heavy. I'm surprised he got it up. All right, so we see the difference. These 4 men can hold this burden with ease. It's not that difficult for them. They could probably stand there and hold that just about all day if they wanted to. But let's show you. Maybe not. All right, guys, set that down. Watch your toes. All right, we're going to show one more thing that the church has the ability to do, because some burdens are not rock-sized burdens. Some burdens might be mountain-sized burdens. That might just be the foothill of a burden that we've got. That might just be so minor of an issue. What if you got something that's huge? It'd probably take a few more people. The church has another ability to do one thing that we call multiplying and going out. So you see we have our 3-person church here right now, our 3-person congregation. But watch what happens when Robert, Steve, and Mark, they decide they want to go out and share God's word because they're part of a church. Gentlemen, go out. So while they're out there doing their ministry work, we'll talk about the fact that these guys, they're always there. They've always been there. So when you've got a church group, you're always going to be able to find somebody within that group that can relate to you and that can help you with an issue. But again, if you have an issue that's too big for a small group of people to have or to handle, now look at your church. All of a sudden your church just doubled. Okay? So think about what would happen now if each one of these folks went out and went and joined another, or brought in another person or two, and then you've got maybe 25, and then those people go out, and so forth and so forth. So the church has the ability to perpetuate itself and to grow almost exponentially. So that means, let's watch what happens with this church now with Blake's burden. Guys, y'all want to try and help him pick up his burden again? So Blake's burden, look how much easier this is going to get. They can't even all get a handle on it. So now we've got, is that pretty easy now?
No.
She's carrying most of the weight.
She's got much of the weight on that one side. But y'all can put it down. Watch your toes. Another thing that you didn't notice when you saw when Blake came and jerked this rock up before, he pulled this burden up, and one thing that I noticed is Blake was really unsteady with it. He might have been able to carry that burden, but maybe Blake is a new Christian and he's not as solid in his walk yet. Well, Mr. Robert, and you've been to seminary too, right? Okay, so we've got two guys here that have been through and completed seminary that have probably got a bigger understanding of the Bible. So while Blake, as a young Christian trying to carry his burden, might be a little shaky, he's already got 2 guys in his group right now that are further in their walk. So while Blake is needing spiritual milk, these guys are eating spiritual meat all day long, and they can help guide Blake into a larger portion, and they can kind of teach Blake how to get better and how to grow and how to strengthen his faith and how to do tons of things like help other people carry their burden. Another thing I'd like to talk about is the fact that if you don't attend church, not only are you missing the opportunity to have somebody help you with your burden, but you're also missing the opportunity to serve others by being a part of that congregation, being a part of that flock. You miss that opportunity to serve if we sit at home. I know a lot of us say, well, I don't need to go to church. I don't have to go to church. Well, you're right. You don't have to go to church. That doesn't mean that you're not going to go to heaven because you don't, but you're missing a lot of the opportunity and you're missing a lot of the blessings that God has for you and your life, because you're missing that opportunity to serve others, and you're missing that opportunity to grow. We talk about iron sharpens iron. We've mentioned that in several of our videos. Well, what about if one iron is sharpened by 20 more irons? You can see the way that it would help you in your faith and help you grow exponentially and help you resolve your burdens and also help you to help others resolve burdens. And God blesses you when you do that. God blesses you when you bless others. So come back over this way. I want to go and ask a couple of questions. Come on with me. He's not going to be able to hear. I want to hear from each person here. I want to know, what is your number one reason why you think that a Christian should attend church?